one of the sectors that is hardest to read today, to my mind at least, is India's consumer sector. Um, there are often conflicting reports, and you're not able to quite tally the economic trends with company results and so on. Could you give us an overview of what is really going on? And Priya, of course, oversees some of India's best-known consumer brands, absolute household names. So nobody better to tell us what's actually happening in this sector.
Yeah, I think I'll come back to the opportunity first of consumer goods. If you look at consumer goods in India today, the per capita consumption of consumer goods in the country is about $54 per capita. If you compare that with any other part of the world, even our nearing neighboring countries, Southeast Asia, it's extremely on the low side. So there's a huge headroom for consumer goods in India. So I think the first thing for us to keep in mind is the incredible headroom there is for consumption-led growth in India. As India grows, the consumer goods sector is poised for growth. So I think that's important to keep in mind. There are many short-term effects of food inflation, rural demand, urban demand not being sufficient. But I think with the measures we are seeing now, whether it is a good monsoon, whether it is the GST measures that have come in, I think we should expect gradual improvement in consumer demand.
What are the trends in when you look at urban India and people on the, premiumization has been a very, very strong trend. But how are you, how is a house like HUL catering to, the youth of today, the Instagram generation?
Sure.
How do you compete with all these D2C brands? How are you, give us a flavor of all of that, the challenge from the quick commerce channels.
Sure. So I think first, I'll go back to what Sunil said. There are 1.4 billion Indians. And I think when you want to be a large consumer goods company, you have to go across the length and breadth of India. And I think that's when you create a real enterprise of depth and scale in India. And I think I will speak about HUL, but it's true of the consumer goods sector. I think the value of the consumer goods sector today is in segmenting India. Not just the top 100 million Indians where we're talking about a lot of the shift that is taking place, but across the 1.4 billion Indians that exist. And that's why I started with the topic of inclusive growth. And I think today there are business models, and what's exciting about the consumer sector in India is the incredible shift that's taking place with consumers wanting and desiring more benefits, more value-added products. And I think that's the journey that the consumer goods sector in India is on.
So is D2C a problem, or you feel a house like yours can more than adequately?
Yeah, I think, as I said, it is an incredible opportunity because we can now segment different parts of India. Whether you look at the opportunity, and let me give you an example. You look at the opportunity that you have now to segment the top 100 million Indians because there is an emerging different channel of commerce, whether it is quick commerce, D2C, digital commerce, but also what's happening with digital in terms of media. You are able to now segment and reach different audiences in India, and that provides a company the opportunity to serve niche consumer segments which you weren't able to serve before.
But do companies like yours have to think about these things differently? Because you're seeing a lot of young people, younger consumers value authenticity a lot. They connect with founders. They're drawn to that individual story and so on. So how does conventional company or legacy firms, how can you tackle that, or how can you compete with that?
Yeah, I actually think it's very, very exciting what's taking place. Because what's happening is consumers are more aware than they were ever before. And actually, it serves well to companies who are dependent on deep science, technology, R&D, and all the billions of dollars we spend to develop patented products. We can now take this out to consumers. So the fundamentals of what consumers are looking for isn't changing. Whether it's great products, great brands, packaged in a beautiful way, with deep science and technology, the way you build those brands indeed are changing, and I think that's what you're referencing. And all companies are working towards these shifts, and it's very exciting that the journey we are on.
High inflation was a problem for consumer demand. This year we've seen actually very low inflation, but not necessarily a corresponding boom in consumption. What explains that?
Yeah, I think when you look at headline inflation, it certainly seems low, but when you actually break that down, food inflation indeed has been very high, and consumer sentiment and demand has been subdued for the last few years. I think we do expect a gradual shift, and especially with the reforms taking place, especially in urban India, this is a key impetus.